"I'll stop soon," I used to tell Penny, who in recent years had begun advising me to quit working, or at least cut down enough so that we could travel together. Dream of ours to go to Japan. I think Penny bought every book published about traveling there. We also wanted to take a leisurely driving trip across the southern states. Bryce didn't like to travel and was all in favor of Penny getting it out of her system with me. I had never married, and though I almost always had a relationship, sometimes a serious one, I never thought any of those men would be as much fun to travel with as Penny would be. We were passionate about many of the same things: small towns, vintage quilts, unique breakfast places, cobalt blue glassware, spontaneous conversations with all kinds of people in all kinds of places. Penny was the kind of person who could go into a convenience store for a Coke and come out soulmates with the cashier. We also seemed to operate on the same kind of schedule. It was a happy day when we admitted to each other that we loved taking the phone off the hook and napping in the mid-afternoons. "Do you sleep more than 20 minutes?" I asked. I felt a little guilty that my naps lasted 30 or even 45 minutes. "I have gone for 2 hours, she said, and I high-fived her. We planned on alternating extravagant hotels with cheap motels on our road trip. "Maybe we'll find a crumbly old pink one," Penny said, "with one of those pools the size of a puddle." It was our belief that tacky motels would be much more interesting, even if the beds gave pause. We wanted to walk the Freedom Trail in Boston and take donkeys down into the Grand Canyon. We wanted to feel the power of the vortexes in Sedona, Arizona, and to buy some crystals there. Oh, we had plans. So many plans that I kept putting off. "But when will you stop?" she would ask, year after year, and I would say, "Something will tell me when." Once, exasperated, she said, "You act like there's all the time in the world, and there isn't." To this I had no reply. That Penny and Bryce Mueller lived right next door to me was a gift of immeasurable proportion. I used to go into their house as though it were my own. We watched television a couple of nights a week, and we often made dinners and ate together. Every Sunday, we used my living room to read the papers while we ate caramel rolls from Key's Cafe. The three of us were almost roommates. I used to tell them that they, more than anyone else I had ever met, supported my theory that people are attracted to those who look like themselves. Bryce and Penny were both very tall, with strawberry blonde hair, wide eyes, freckled arms and legs. Even the shape of their noses was similar. Where they differed was in their personalities. Penny was always up for almost anything. Bryce was far more cautious. Penny was an optimist, too, sometimes outright irritating in her consistently bright outlook. Bryce had his moods, but they were good together. They loved each other, and they were so much fun to be around. When Bryce's birthday was coming up, I hid his presents in my bedroom closet. I hid Penny's in the furnace room. She was in my closet too often for me to risk putting anything there. There were times when I was at their house late at night and moaned about being too tired to walk across the lawn to my own house. They would invite me to stay, and I would always say that was ridiculous and rally myself to make the short trip. But I think if I'd ever said, "Oh, hell, why don't I just move in?" they would have looked at each other, shrugged, and said, "Sure." 8 months ago, Penny was diagnosed with a fast-moving cancer. She died 4 months later. Bryce stayed in the house for another month. Then he came over one night with a bottle of wine and told me he knew he wasn't supposed to make any rash moves. Everyone had told him that, including me. But the hell with it. He was going to move back to New York. He said he couldn't stand being in the house, or the city, or the state, or the Midwest, without her. When we had finished the bottle, he said, "You know, Penny told me that when she died I should marry you."